Ricky Gervais, Empath, Narcissist, or something else. Part 8, the conclusion. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. We now pull all the strands together to make a determination as to what Ricky Gervais is as per my baseline categorization. In respect of his upbringing and family relationships, these certainly appear stable. We don't see any lack of control environment or the presence of narcissists in his family history, at least the immediate one. It could be, however, that this is simply a facade that has been shown to the outside world, and this might be a particularly skilled narcissist that keeps a darker side to family life under wraps. With regard to his friendships, many people speak well of him, but could this simply be a well-maintained facade? There are some that have criticised him, claiming that he's bullied them, but they might just be wrong, or could that be indicative of a nasty streak? He's hugely successful and received many awards, which demonstrates that he has genuine talent, which has been maintained over many years, rather than it just being an exaggeration of ability. Or is this simply the behaviour of a particularly evolved narcissist that harnesses genuine talent for the pursuit of the prime aims? He is a performer, which of course means that there will be some strong narcissistic traits. That doesn't, however, mean that he's automatically a narcissist. With regard to his intimate relationships, there's a complete absence, scandal in that regard, a multiplicity of relationships, and he's only had one which has been long-standing, enduring, and without complications, at least publicly. This may well denote an individual that has a healthy, stable, mutually respectful relationship, or might it be whatever goes on in that relationship is never spoken about elsewhere as a consequence of the financial benefits that are obtained as a consequence of remaining with somebody who is well known and wealthy. He has not been short of controversies, however. This might denote an absence of emotional empathy, a high-handedness and arrogance and haughtiness towards people, or it simply is a consequence of a stage persona that's adopted by Gervais. He has a devil-may-care attitude where he's unaffected by the response of others. Is this a lack of accountability, or might this be someone who doesn't require fuel? Is it arrogance on his part, showing a lack of emotional empathy for the responses and reactions of people to his provocations, or simply that where he levels those provocations, he deems that those individuals aren't worthy of his support? He engages in extensive philanthropy, particularly in relation to animals. Is this demonstrative of genuine emotional empathy, or might be we witnessing facade management? As is invariably the case, we look at various different aspects of the life of the subject under the Tudorscope, and it can be seen that when viewed individually, they can be interpreted one way or the other. But what is Ricky Gervais? Well, let us consider first of all, might he fulfill the criteria to be seen as a narcissist? There's certainly a lack of exaggeration with regard to his talents. He is not somebody that is seen to be controlling in relation to his interpersonal relationships and in particular his intimate relationship. He is not known for being exploitative of interpersonal relationships. He shows that he had a stable home environment. There is no evidence to counter that. He has a stable romantic relationship. Again, there is no evidence to counter this. And even where an individual might operate with a facade, there might be some cracks in that. It's certainly not the case with Ricky Gervais. It isn't the case that there's lots of incidences of controversy surrounding him outside of his stage appearances and filmed material. He's not known, for instance, for getting in brawls in bars or having altercations in the street. He's not known for having lots of haphazard relationships with people. He doesn't appear to have an excessive need for admiration, albeit he will certainly enjoy the admiration that he receives as a consequence of being a film and television star and stand-up comic. He doesn't demonstrate an exaggerated sense of self. He doesn't show an excessive need for admiration. He doesn't show a rampant sense of entitlement. He doesn't behave with a lack of accountability. There isn't evidence of lack of boundary recognition. He doesn't show a variety of aspects of the narcissistic dynamic. There's no evidence to support manipulative behaviours. There is some arrogance that is evident, but it is not huge. He doesn't exhibit magical thinking. There's slight grandiosity as a consequence of being a performer, but overall, many of the indicators that one would expect to appear where one is determining an individual to be a narcissist fail to manifest, and fail to manifest considerably. Factor in also the behaviour towards people that he works with, his family, his intimate partners, and his philanthropy. This clearly demonstrates the presence of emotional empathy. And therefore, it's safe to say Ricky Gervais is not a narcissist. What about him being narcissistic, but not a narcissist? After all, to get up on a stage and receive that admiration and to take the piss out of people as taboo subjects, surely that shows that he has low emotional empathy. Again, Gervais does not come across as self-absorbed, selfish, completely wrapped up in himself, or exhibiting low emotional empathy. Whilst a narcissistic person doesn't have the pathological need for control, the receipt of fuel, etc., they are selfish. They are caught up in themselves. They will exhibit behaviours with low emotional empathy whereby, for instance, they might conduct affairs. They certainly wouldn't portray the interest in animals and animal welfare that Gervais has done. And in the circumstances, we discount narcissistic also. We've established the presence of emotional empathy, which would support him either being a normal or an empath. There is substantial emotional empathy exhibited. With regard to a normal, certainly the normal is a bundle of both empathic and narcissistic traits, but so is the empath. The flippancy that he regularly exhibits, the dismissiveness of the concerns of certain people, rather than being bothered by them, could well accord with the behaviour of a normal. It's clear that he has emotional empathy for those that he works with, members of his family, and his intimate partner, which would fit and align with the behaviours of a normal. He doesn't have a pathological need for control. He doesn't require fuel. Thus, normal does appear to present itself as a particular option. It's also the case, of course, that he can be provocative, and that may well be demonstrative of the fact that if you're outside of his circle of emotional empathy, you're fair game. After all, he can use terminology which is demeaning when applied to somebody outside of his circle of empathy and not be bothered by it. That would certainly point to an individual that is a normal. Caring and compassionate about those within the circle of empathy, not so bothered about people outside of it. And certainly, the way that he conducts himself with regard to his comedic career supports that. However, the fact is, that behaviour is solely linked to his career. He is not known for gratuitous insults to people that he deals with on a day-to-day basis. He's not known to be unpleasant with those that he's working with, even albeit briefly. He is not known for throwing his weight around, believing himself to be special, or not particularly caring about people that he doesn't know very well. Factor in the fact that he has repeatedly made lifestyle changes in support of his beliefs concerning animal welfare, has engaged in advocacy on behalf of individuals, namely animals that he doesn't know, and indeed on behalf of animals in other countries, that he has often done so without reportage, that he has donated substantial sums of money, and has continued with this philanthropy over many, many years in a consistent fashion, demonstrates that he has emotional empathy beyond that circle of empathy associated with the normal. That to behave in such a fashion means that he has extensive emotional empathy and much stronger empathic traits. He also does have strong narcissistic traits, which are evident in relation to his professional career, but they are kept shackled by his empathic traits, something that is seen with empaths to a much greater degree than seen with the normal. His barbed observations, his provocations, his dismissiveness, and haughty behaviours are solely within the confines of professional activity, and done so in a way whereby he does not demonstrate support where those that he deems are not appropriate, showing an even-hand application of his emotional empathy. Accordingly, as a consequence of the absence of evidence that supports the finding of a narcissist or narcissistic individual, and the presence of evidence that goes beyond being a normal, the finding for Ricky Gervais is that he is an empath. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.